Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast, episode 92.
Welcome to the Out of Order Podcast, your window into the firearms community, exploring those shaping the future of our rights and protecting our lifestyle, laws, legal cases, activism, and self-defense in a candid and honest podcast for our brothers and sisters in arms. Here's your host, James Callison.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 92 of the Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast. Show notes page for today's episode is outoforderjamescalita.com/92. Today's sponsor is giftforgunnuts.com. Gift for Gun Nuts, where you can get great gift ideas for the hunting and shooting sports enthusiast on your holiday shopping list. So head over to giftforgunnuts.com. You'll find daily updates every day with new gift ideas from now until Christmas. Giftforgunnuts.com. And of course, you can always help out the show by using the Amazon search affiliate links you find on the show notes page. And please remember our sponsors, Liberty Maniacs, that has great Second Amendment and Liberty t-shirts and gifts, and Liberty Classroom, where you get the history and economics they didn't teach you in high school. So today's guest is Mary Callison, and she is from 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control. And now, here's Mary.
Mary Callison, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, Mary, you are one of the board members of 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control. Would you tell us a little about that organization?
Sure. Our founder, Heather Marchese, basically started our organization right after Newtown happened, when Shannon Watts came out and said that, we're all moms against guns and we don't need guns and guns are icky, all that verbiage. And basically Heather said, no. And when she started this group, it was the same thing for me. I was kind of like, you're hearing Shannon, you're hearing the president, and they're all saying how guns are so bad. And I'm like, well, wait a second. They're a phenomenal tool. I mean, police use them. We use them to guard all sorts of things. And it started my search for joining some type of group to defend our gun rights. And so I was, did a search for it, found 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control, and joined them as, just to help out wherever I could, to kind of be, I guess, like an accidental activist at that point. I was just kind of mad enough that I didn't want another mother speaking for me because I was pro-gun and our family's pro-gun. And so that kind of kicked it off as just kind of being an angry mom against the moms that were against guns, to put it that way.
Great. And how has it been for you guys? How has it been getting the message out there? What kind of?
Well, it's been well received. When we began, we did a whole lot more. We're kind of in the stages of regrouping and kind of changing a few directions, and changing as gun rights and activism is changing and getting involved with other things. But it's been well received. There are still, as I'm sure you've seen in the gun community, we kind of have, there's all sorts of weird splits, and so there's a lot of people that are like, oh, great, moms, all right, whatever, it's just the male club. And then you do have those that are like, we're such a huge demographic in the shooting world right now. I mean, there's so many women going out and they're getting their concealed carry, and so many out there exercising their right to defend themselves with a firearm. So, I mean, I think there's more positives than there's been negative. And we're just here to help women wherever we possibly can and get them hooked up into, shooting groups and educational groups, those that they can learn a little more about, the shooting sports or basically your constitutional right, whichever avenue they want. We try to plug them into the right organization for them. Besides, we're kind of a catalyst right now, trying to help everybody get into the right spots and move forward. And hopefully we all come together as a better group fighting together for our gun rights, because there's a lot of split, again, as I said, different things in the gun community, infighting and all that. So hopefully we bring a little more cohesion to that, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, and there is unfortunately a lot of splitting, and
right.
Yeah, it really, and we kind of compliment to the left. They tend to be very good sheep and get behind whatever movement. But those of us on the other side tend to put more thought into things, and then we split. So
right, and they can be organized. That's for sure. That is one thing they have is a way to organize, and I guess they have quite a few very rich backers, I guess. But yeah, we need to work on that a little more. We need to come together a bit more. That's kind of what I'm seeing is that infighting, and I kind of have a weird perspective. I am obviously pro-Constitution, pro-gun rights, but I'm also married to an officer, and that's another thing within the gun community is a lot of people are obviously, want small government, which I agree with, and they want, less law, less rules, less infringements on our rights, which I also agree with. So it's kind of hard to sometimes argue those points where I'm seeing it as I'm married to law enforcement, but I'm also pro-Constitution and pro-rights. And so that's been a very interesting few arguments I've had with people. So it's definitely a lot. It's a faceted, the gun world is they're a multifaceted world. There's a lot to it. So, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so how do you reconcile that? I mean, do you find that there's any conflict between being part of the LEO family and pro-gun, like within in your own ideology, or is it just kind of other people suggesting that it exists?
Well, see, with fun in our group, and sometimes we'll post different things on, pro-law enforcement, or some of the situations that have come up with police shootings and such. As a Leo wife and seeing that obviously we want to support our officers and we want to back them. But if there's an officer out there that is bad or has done wrong or shot somebody that wasn't justified, obviously we want to see them, be brought to justice. We want justice for those families as well, because it only helps the good officers that are out there doing their job, that are community policing. They're with they're doing what their oath was, to take care of the people. And I think what people are afraid of is that the police are the ones that are going to come and steal everybody's guns eventually. My personal opinion is I don't think it would be law enforcement. I think there would be some other type of higher agency or whatnot, maybe something created. And are there anti-gun officers? Yes, because I've come across a lot of them. But there are a whole heck of a lot of pro-gun officers, and they're not going to be going in there stealing anybody's guns. So, that's my argument to those people, and then they turn around and just say, well, you're a bootlicker or whatever. They make fun of you as that Leo wife or law enforcement family and all that. But I hope they know that there are so many pro-gun officers out there, and, that you can still be for your rights. You can educate. Here's the other thing is you can educate your officers. Get involved with your communities, get involved with the officers and departments closest to you, and then make sure that they're well versed on constitutional rights and those, the laws that are taking place within their communities, whether they're, constitutional or not. Then go and get involved with your legislators and have those changed. What I was able to join this year was the DC Project, and it's been going on for a couple of years. Diana Mueller founded it a couple of years back, and it's one woman from every state, and there's some supporting women that have gone because I went as kind of a supportive role to the ladies from Illinois. And we go and discuss with our legislators, our senators, our congressmen and women, and we go in there and we just say, hey, can we be your pro-gun voice, whether they are anti-gun or pro-gun, doesn't matter. Let us sit down and have a nonpartisan conversation about gun rights. And the correct gun information. If you're going to make these claims about guns and call them weird names, maybe give us a call and double check what you're talking about. But opening a dialogue, and I think that's the important thing is sometimes pro-gun people, we kind of shut ourselves off to, it's not going to make a difference. Don't talk to them, it's not going to make a difference. But I think you need to have these conversations and meet with your legislators and have those conversations, good or bad, properly, and in order to make a difference. You can't just do it, say, gun rights, my Constitution is, you have to have a dialogue with both sides. So being able to go to D.C. and sit down with these legislators and their staff, because their staff are important to meet with as well, it opens up a whole new conversation on showing them the face of like female gun owners. That's what it kind of was, our female gun owners. And it was fabulous. Great. It really was a good time.
How were the representatives that you went to see? Were they shocked that you weren't middle-aged white men?
I think this year, because they knew we were coming since it was I think this was the third year, they kind of had an idea, and we were more, what I'm hearing is we were more well-received this year, even by those that don't share the same view. I know personally I met with my own representative here from Illinois, and he is pro 2A, which obviously helps. But there were a couple of ladies that met with theirs, and Illinois is a hard state because we do have several anti-gun, obviously, here within the state. And they weren't as well received. However, they still were able to procure meetings with their staffers this year, which I believe they were not able to do last year. So it's changing. They are listening. It's about how you present yourself, I believe. I call it that tactful side. Sometimes we have some rough people that'll start yelling gun rights, and it kind of shuts down the conversation. But if you go in there with a tactful approach, you kind of have a better in with them. They'll actually listen to you. So it was well received. We did have just one or two very negative, but I mean overall it was really good, and I just see it continuing really well in the future. So.
Right. And did you stay for the Heller anniversary while you were down there?
I stayed through. I left Saturday morning, so I was at the rally, but I was not able to stay down there for the Heller anniversary. However, we did listen to Dick did give a speech at our rally, so it was really cool to be there and hear and listen to him. Yeah, it was pretty neat. It's really that's the cool thing about this is along this whole journey is meeting these people that have done so much for gun rights. And it's been an amazing journey to be a part of, and I'll just keep doing it. We're grassroots. We do this on our own. I don't travel for the money. I travel because I do believe in the right to self-defense. I believe in our constitutional right to carry. We'll keep trying to get these unconstitutional laws repealed as best we can, and working with them. I know in my own personal life, I have seen what evil can really do to somebody, and getting involved when I did after Newtown, it was like, okay, we're fighting for gun rights, we're doing this. But then when my sister's attack happened, August 29, 2015, where she was stabbed 17 times, she was beaten to the point of her orbital socket blown out and raped in her own home, 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon during a random home invasion. It really hits you just how important it is to be able to carry a gun for self-defense. We had just talked 2 weeks prior to her attack that we need to let's go to the gun range. Let's go get you trained. Let's get, let's get your classes done. Because here in Illinois, you need to have 16 hours of class time, and you got to pass, your range time, that type of thing. And so I'm like, well, let's get this done. And then to have that happen 2 weeks later, it's like a kick in the gut, or it takes the air out of you, knowing that I had the tools and the information to help stop that, or at least to help her defend herself. And we just didn't get done in time. But in sharing her story, and that's the important thing is when we travel and sharing her story, that women need to understand that they need to be able to protect themselves. Most men are going to be able to overpower most women. I should say not all, because there's some men that are not, they're not large men. They may not, attack and do that type of thing. But her attacker was giant. He was a big man. There was no way that, she could have stopped him and disarmed him with the kitchen knife that he was using. Except with the gun, had she met him with that at the door when he kicked the door in. But, I think for me, and what I want women, whatever they take away from, when I go and speak or interviews and such, is that women need to understand the importance of being able to protect themselves, that somewhere today a woman is defending her life defenseless. She doesn't have those tools, and we want to be able to give them those tools and that information and that empowerment before it ever gets to that point. So if they were ever attacked, they could defend themselves against that evil, when they come and try to take your life. And I just hope that women really pay more attention. I know after big events, they're like all gung-ho about it, and then after that, it kind of, sizzles out, and, they're like, it's not going to happen to me, but you don't get to pick the time and place of an attack. So they need to be serious about their safety.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that happened to your sister, and that's an incredible thing to recover from. 17 stab wounds.
Yep. All over. Yeah. She's doing really well. She goes out and speaks and tells her story, and I think that's very, very therapeutic for her. For me, it just lights a fire to keep going and doing what I do no matter what, because I have seen, if women saw what I saw in that emergency room, if they When I walked in, it wasn't my sister on that bed. Evil does unbelievable things to a person, and that guy, it was really close. It was really close. And again, if I tell anti-women or anti-gun women this, I said I carry her picture around with me from like 2 or 3 days after, and they don't believe you or whatever. And I said, if you saw what I saw, you would wish you had a gun. You wish you would have gone out and gotten your training. You really would wish for a firearm, because there is no stopping that evil, that hate. And he was bound to kill her. That's what he wanted to do. But she survived. She survived for a reason. I share her story wherever I can, and hopefully it really does help a lot of other women pay attention. Pay attention to their safety. You're responsible. The police were literally 2 minutes around the block from my parents' house. That's where the police station is, and there was no way for them to know ahead of time or be there in order to stop this. You are responsible for your safety. You are your first responder. You have to be able to defend your life, no matter what. So that's what I tell anti-gun women, and I hope that maybe they change their mind, or they're those that are on the fence. I just hope they take it more seriously.
Yeah, and that's a very powerful story. And obviously you talk about your sister, but when you're reaching out to people who maybe don't think they need a firearm for defense or don't need to prepare to defend themselves, have there been strategies you found that are effective in getting them to reconsider that position?
Well, I basically, if I'm just talking to them, if we're going someplace, like I went to Father Flager had a anti-gun rally disguised as a prayer meeting. And so when I'm walking into places like that where I know that I am the minority in those groups, my strategy personally is to just show kindness. It's not a go out and attack them right away. It's to kind of befriend them and just to share. I try to come to them more in love than anything. I sometimes you get riled up, and anti-gunners will get you riled up. But I try to go in so that you can, again, open dialogue. If you're yelling at people, if you are, I call it Bible banging. If you're going in there right, guns blazing, literally, it's not going to help your case. So when I'm talking to women and I'm going in there and I'm explaining the situation, I'm trying to show kindness. I'm trying to show empathy. I'm trying to understand what their fear is or what makes them anti-gun. And then I try to share my sister's story. And, you have to also understand that some women are not going to want to carry guns. My sister right now, she won't carry, and one of the reasons is mindset. And you have to keep that, if you've gone through PTSD or something traumatic like that, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, here's a firearm to defend yourself if anything happens, that may end up in a worse situation. So I guess understanding, first of all, what their background is and their story, and just befriending them to find out, why they're anti-gun or why they're afraid or whatnot. And then invite them to go to the range, or I live out in the country, so they can come to my house, and it's pretty, and you can go out back and shoot in the field, and so it's kind of non-pressure. I don't want to pressure them. I don't want to scare them. I don't want to pressure them. I just want them to understand that a gun is a phenomenal tool in self-defense, and I think by befriending them and showing kindness, a little more empathy, it does really help. And I think that's one thing that women, we can do that really well, and I think that it helps our cause a whole lot more when you're not, just forcing or screaming at somebody. You're able to just have a conversation, and be kind. It helps.
Mary, I always ask my guests if there are books that they recommend that all gun owners should read. Any come to mind?
Well, yeah, actually, after my sister's attack, we were told about the book Gift of Fear. It's on my reading list. I have one too many books that I need to read and not enough time. But Gift of Fear, I was just told, one of the ladies in our group, the DC Project, Liz Lazarus, she wrote a book, Free of Malice, and it's loosely based on the attack that she survived years ago. And she just sent that out to my sister and hoping that that'd be healing. So if there's, women listening that have gone through something traumatic, or even men, because it's not just, male, female, it's everybody. Check out her book and see if there's something in there that, might help you get through those events, or reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk about that. And of course, anything by John Lott. I think he's got fabulous books, and I like reading what he's got to say because that man is just brilliant.
Yeah, but he's some really great stuff. And that article he put out about how Facebook would blocked his articles from Fox News,
yes.
but approved. Yeah, I was like, oh wow, that's proof.
Yeah, and it's hard because Facebook has such a goofy algorithm, and so when I'm posting articles or I'm sharing something, it depends on what the article is or the titles, I think, and it kills your reach. It's just horrible. They'll block certain things. People don't see certain. It's just ridiculous. It's really sad, And he has really good information, and it's factual based, But obviously, we know that they don't all like facts. Facts are horrible.
So how can people find A Million Moms Against Gun Control? What's the best places for them to go?
Right now, our website is down. We are kind of redoing a few things and looking into a new server. But if you want to check us out on Facebook, it's 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control on Facebook. We are also on Twitter at 1MMAGC. I have a couple personal links, but there's so many numbers and names. But I say go to 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control on Facebook, and then it'll kind of lead you to everything else we have.
Okay, great. Well, I thank you so much for being on the show. Any parting words for our listeners?
No, just go out and have a great week. Go to the range, go shoot, and go practice, and bring a new person to the range.
There we go. Well, I thank you so much for being on the show. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you so much, James. I appreciate it.
Thanks again for tuning in to episode 92 of the Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast. Show notes page for today's episode is outoforderjameskalita.com/92. If you head over to the show notes page, you'll find links to the books we talked about, to the links Mary mentioned, and please remember to check out our sponsors, giftforgunnuts.com, Liberty Maniacs, and Liberty Classroom. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.